everyone. We are the Group 8 and our topic is the types and the theories of nationalism. So first types of nationalism is the civic and liberal nationalism. So civic nationalism defines the nation as an association of people with shared political rights and allegiance to similar procedures. Emphasizes equality and shared political rights over common ethnic ancestry. Core identity of the nation is political, not ethnic. Ernest Renan's concept, nation as a daily referendum based on the will of its people to live together. Second is the Creole nationalism. Creole nationalism emerged in independence movements among Creoles in Latin America in the early 19th century, triggered by the French Emperor Napoleon's control or Spain and Portugal disrupting the colonial chain of command. Glorious rejected allegiance to Napoleonic states and demanded independence. So independence achieved through civil wars from 1808 to 1826. Third is the Navis nationalism. Nativist nationalism defines belonging to a nation based solely on being born on its territory. People not born in the country are considered lesser nationals and labeled as immigrants, even if naturalized. Cultural aspect, foreign-born individuals are not seen as part of the nation. Legal implication, ban from the certain jobs, particularly government rules for life, common in the Americans in daily life, legal frameworks, and workplaces. Fourth is the ethnic nationalism. So ethnic nationalism defines the nation based on ethnicity, heritage, language, faith, and ancestry. Emphasizes shared culture among members and ancestor differs from purely cultural or linguistic definitions. Some advocate ethnocentric supremacy or protectionism. Regional minorities define nationalism to protect their culture. Assimilation is key for political dominance and competition. So, the fifth is the economic nationalism. Economic nationalism favors state intervention in the economy. Policies emphasize the domestic control or economy, labor, and capital formation may involve imposing tariffs and restriction on the labor, goods, and the capital movement.
So I'm the next reporter on Group 8. So my topic is about religious nationalism. So religious nationalism is the relationship of nationalism to a particular religious belief, meaning kanang one connection sa nationalism on some religious beliefs and dogma or affiliation where a shared religion can be seen to be contribute, meaning makatabang or hatag og sense of national unity, a common bond among the citizen of the nation. And then example of this is the Saudi Arabia, or anang example ani nga mga country nga ga-apply is Saudi Arabian, Iranian, Egyptian, Iraq, and the Pakistani Islamic nationalism. So next would be the left-wing nationalism. So left-wing nationalism, occasionally known as socialist nationalism. Socialist meaning ka-focus sila ng mga theories nga sociological, and not be confused with National Socialism, refers to any political movement that combines left-wing politics with nationalism. So one part of the government is socialism that combines with politics and nationalism. So many nationalist movements are dedicated to national liberation and in the view that their nation are being persecuted by other nations and thus need to exercise self-determination by liberating themselves from the accused persecutors and other revisionists. And Marxist-Leninism is closely tied with the ideology, and practical examples include Stalin's early work, Marxism, and the national questions. And his socialism in one country edict, which declares that nationalism can be used in international context, fighting for national liberation without racial or religious division. Meaning kanang nationalism can be used in kanang can be used in liberation sa isa ka nation without racism or racial or religious divisions. Then next is territorial nationalism. So some nationalism exclude certain groups, some nationalistic drift defining the national community in either linguistic, cultural, historic, or religious. So from the word the territorial meaning, it focuses on the territory of the country to certain minorities to not truly being a part of the national community. So they define sometimes a mythic homeland as more important for the national identity than the actual territory. So territorial nationalist, kani siya yung mga tao ni siya assume that all inhabitants of a particular nation or sa usa ka nasyon anong mga tao na diha owe allegiance to their country, meaning they have a allegiance, meaning lang murag kontra ba ng allegiance force or ng pagsabot ng connection niya sa country is dapat dili mawala from birth. Then a sacred quality is sought in the nation and in the popularity memories it evokes. Citizenship is idealized by territorial nationalists. A criterion of a territorial nationalism is the establishment of a mass public culture based on common values, codes, and traditional of the population. So next would be the anti-colonial nationalism. This form of nationalism came about during the decolonization, the post-war periods. It was reaction mainly in Africa and Asia against being subdued by foreign powers, meaning it was done to alleviate or lift your country from colonization, from the word anti-colonial. It also appears in the non-Russian territories of the Tsarist Empire and later the USSR, where Ukrainianists and Islamic Marxists condemned Russian Bolshevik rule in their territory, meaning ilang gipawala ng Bolshevik rule of Russia sa Ukrainian and Islamic Marxist territories. And then this form of nationalism took many guises, including the peaceful passive resistance movement led by Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian subcontinent. So racial nationalism. So muna siya ang racial nationalism. The last part of the report. Racial nationalism is a ideology that advocates a racial definition of national identity. Racial nationalism seeks to preserve a given race through policies such as banning race mixing and then kanang immigration po sa lain country. Then other races too, and specific examples are black nationalism and white nationalism. That's all for my part.
So I'm the third reporter of the topic types of nationalism. So sport nationalism, sports spectacles, football World Cup, intense support for national teams, globalization of audiences, revenue from advertisers and subscribers, FIFA scandal of 2015, nationalist passions and prejudices, British Empire and sports, British Empire Games, French Empire and sports, colonial promotion of sports. Gender and muscular nationalism, feminist critique, nationalism and sexual control, gendering of nationalism, socially constructed notion of masculinity and femininity, gendered identities of nations, land genders as female or motherland, national pride and protectiveness as masculine. So there are characteristics of nationalism. There are 7 kinds of nationalism. One is authenticity or theory, blood and language. Second, loyalty to homeland. Third, defense of compatriots against foreigners. Fourth is worship of national personalities and heroes. Fifth is revival of past traditions. Sixth is distortion of historical facts. And the last is sanctity of national emblems. And the next topic is theories of nationalism. One is primordialist and social biological theories. primordialist theory, social biological perspective, group identity, blood, race, language, religion. Ineffable and coercive ties, ethnic identity rooted in historical experience or biological character or of ethnicity and natural ethnic bonds, family attachments, and the last is significance of blood and ties.
I am the part reporter of Group 8, and this is my topic, instrumentalist theories. This is the under of instrumentalist theories. Instrumentalism, flexible ethnic identity, variable boundaries, economic, social, and political processes, collective entities, dynamic ethnicity, individuals and multiple ethnic groups. The third is modernization theories. The under of modernization theories is continuity between old and modern nations, primordialists and sociobiologists, social communication theories, economistic theories, Marxist-inspired theories, non-Marxist-inspired theories, political-ideological theories, and the last is social communication theories. This is the under of social communication theories. Carl Jung's study, nationalism and social communication, transition from traditional to modern societies, centrality of communication in national communities, social mobilization with commercialization, industrialization and urbanization, growth of general literacy and mass communication. The next is economic theories. The under of economic theories are first is economic conception of the nation, national consciousness as false consciousness, underlying economic interest, nationalist discourse and economic exploitation, economism as a popular explanation, denial of the specific character of the national fact. The next is politico-ideological theories. This is the under of politico-ideological theories. John Brewley, Anthony Giddens, Paul Brass, Michael Mann, role of the state in the nationalism, nationalism in the modern period, nationalism as a form of politics, relationship between nationalism and the modern state, rejection of class, reductionist or economistic explanation of nationalism. And the last is evolutionary theories. So there are the under of evolutionary theories are John Breuer, Anthony Giddens, Paul Brass, Michael Mann, role of the state in nationalism, nationalism in the modern period, nationalism as the form of politics, relationship between nationalism and the modern state, rejection of class, reductionist or economistic explanations of nationalism. And that's all.